It's the Full Force News Burst, proudly brought to you by Battle Action Force, the Treasury editions. I am your host, Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80. Now let's get into the news.
Full Force!
Yes, let's get into the news indeed. Happy Yojoe June the 4th. Happy Fanstream Day. Lots of cool stuff to get stuck into. Hope everyone's having a good Wednesday. Can you have a good Wednesday? Yes, you can. I think you can have a good Wednesday. I've had it's been a good Wednesday so far. Now, lots to unpack, lots to get kind of discuss. Obviously, we've seen a lot of the promo images from yesterday's stream because some of them snuck out. But Slice and Dice didn't, did they? I did mention that we might see Slice and Dice, though, didn't I? And I was not wrong. I also wasn't wrong about MMS being Fanmazon, despite lots of people saying it wasn't. No, it was. And yeah, and the fact that we've got multiple little events spread out over the month of June makes it even cooler, I think. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about it. Let's get stuck into it, shall we? So first off, we'll delve into a little story actually that popped up shortly after all the kind of shenanigans that happened in the pre-orders and everything. And that's a little bit of like leaky news. Yes. So shortly after the live stream had kind of finished and everything, and we'd got all the information and pre-orders had kind of come out, Shaw Lu went, I think everyone at this point knows Shaw Lu is someone who gets their hands on some very interesting and early production pieces. And posted these images of what looks like Night Force Beachhead's vest and the Steel Core vests. Now, Steel Core was mentioned in the name-only reveals, which we'll get to a little bit later on. But I wonder if that's got anything to do with that. Obviously, it could just be, they could just be there for reference. They could be older pre-production things, or they could be, we could be getting Steel Core secondaries at least. At some point in the line again, which is not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? And of course, Night Force Beachhead. I'm excited to see more of Night Force Beachhead and Night Force Quick Kick. That being a Walmart 2-pack means that we'll probably be waiting for the next. Collecticon, which you'll have to let me know in the comments when that is, because I can't remember if one has been announced the dates wise. But I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that'll be for a different time, basically. Or you never know, they might have another look at them on maybe one of the other updates that we're going to be getting. So we're going to get weekly updates. That's one of the other important things. But let's look at these images first. Here's a close-up of that Night Force Beachhead secondary, and of course the Steel Core ones as well, or the male Steel Core one. The fact that there's the male and the female one here makes it quite interesting, doesn't it, as well? There's the female secondary too for the Steel Core. So yeah, that does kind of make me think, oh, I wonder if they're gonna do something whereby a Steel Core Sentry, because that was mentioned in the name only reveals, kind of shows up in one place, and another Steel Core figure, the female Steel Core figure, comes up again in a different way, a different capacity. Or will they both be included? I don't know. Anyway, these images popped up obviously before Yojoe June kicked off, or in this case the fan stream. But on said fan stream, we were obviously again delightful presenting from Emily, Lenny, and Tony. Always good to see them on the show. BMAC got a little name drop as well in there too. Shout out to BMAC. I hope to see BMAC again soon on one of these streams. So yeah, let's get stuck into Airborne Custom says July and October are next Walmart Collecticons if they go by previous years. Yeah, I'm talking the dates, Darren. I know that there's a rough area by which Walmart do their Collecticons, but I was asking if they've revealed any official dates, but by the sound of it, probably not. But yeah, there's always a summer one. There's always a kind of one later in the year as well. Cool. So Yojoe June, like I said, kicked off with Emily, Lenny, and Tony, and it was great as always. Always enjoy them on our screens. And it's always good to hear them get into kind of more detail about some of these reveals and some of the digital renders and some of the actual figures they have in hand. Always a lot of fun to hear from them. Now, the first thing we got was a full reveal of the SDCC Cold Slither set, and I love how Emily was giving them crap for sneakily going off script and showing Zartan on the last live stream, but she got her own back. I like this kind of like fake narrative. It's like they've got to do kayfabe. It's like their Hasbro is like their wrestling personas, and they have to keep it going like all the time. It's quite funny. But yeah, so we get the full band and they look phenomenal. The drum kit looks great. The actual figures look phenomenal. Like this set's going to be next level. And just the figures alone, which is, mainly what people are after, are just really, really solidly done. Like I said, the drum kit was great, kind of setting it all up and talking through all the different sections and everything. Ooh, a stool. That made me laugh. But yeah, the figures look great. A drum throne, says Bad Wolf Media. It's a throne. Twisted Kister says, Cold Slither looks so good, trying not to be too excited in case I miss out on them. Well, hopefully you don't miss out on them. Hopefully, it's always difficult, though, with these exclusives, isn't it? Not everyone gets in on it. And that is the truth. That's been the case for a lot of these exclusive drops. For the most part, I feel like, those that want it at the time get it. But I think there's definitely, if you're kind of like, if you're not like on it in some way, shape, or form, if you're not either getting someone to pick your set up, or if you're not like, trying on pulse, like at the, in that very small window, then yeah, it's going to be difficult, isn't it? Yeah. But anyway, wicked figures. They look great, and I'm really excited for this set. Really am. We also get a shot from the back here, and as you can see on Buzz's vest, he's got Cold Slither on the back, which is pretty dope. And also we get to look at that stool, which technically ain't even touching. He's getting on it. He's just bounced off it a little bit. Anyway, phenomenal stuff, and they look great. We will get to that in a second. RKW. Yes, there has been a cheeky little Haslab thing, hasn't there, which we'll talk about later on. And then, of course, we get character name reveals. Now, they've spread these out as well, so we'll be probably having more name reveals next week on the 11th, and then I guess another like a little video on the following week, and again is it like how many Tuesdays are there? It's Tuesday, isn't it? It's probably 4, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, the 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th. So it's likely going to fall every week on that day. I imagine. Obviously, we'll find out, I guess, in advance. Or they're just going to assume that we know that it's happening on those days by saying every week from the 4th. So yeah, Wednesday. Sorry, what am I saying? Tuesday for? It's not Tuesday, is it? I've already said I've had a happy Wednesday, and then I go and say Tuesday. What's going on with me? Yeah, it's Wednesday. Sorry, guys. 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th is a Wednesday, of course. So yeah, right and slap bang in the middle of the week, giving us all a boost during our work week, I would say. Anyway, character name reveals. These were interesting. We get the Steel Core Sentry with Defense Post, which I can only imagine is a redeco and sort of retool and reuse of the modular fortification. That's what I'm gauging from that. And then, of course, at the Steel Core Sentry, I suppose we're gonna have a Steel Core kind of different type of figure, I imagine. Certainly a different deco. Chew Wednesday. Yeah, it's Chew Wednesday. I feel like there's gonna be some difference to it. It's not just gonna be a steel core figure that we've already seen. I don't think they're probably going to do some sort of kit bash scenario. Where can you buy the t-shirts that Lenny and Tony wear? It depends. Sometimes I know that he's worn t-shirts from Assembly Required in the past from Codename Iowa, which you can find at codenameiowa.com sometimes. They tend to sell through those t-shirts though. And I think that Sarge dinner one, what was that one that was done for SDCC or something? I can't remember. Someone remind me of that because he was wearing a really cool like Sarge dinner t-shirt, wasn't he? And I can't remember where he got that. That might have been SDCC. Anyway, so steel core sentry with defense post means that it's probably most likely going to be a modular fortification. I can't see it being anything else. I mean, they might do something completely different, and they've called it something different. So it might be something more like a checkpoint, or it might be something more like a surveillance port or something like that. Who knows? It's steel core, so it's going to be Joe's, so it's going to be Joe centric. So a checkpoint could be something that it could be, but defense post sounds a little bit more like, rather than a checkpoint, which is more like, you know, you're checking people as they're coming through and letting them through. A defense post is more like you've got like a big wall there and a big gun. So I think it's probably going to be very much like a probably a modular fortification redo, which is fine. I'm totally cool with that. I'm really excited for the actual, you know, modular fortification. Don't know where the hell that is, but yeah, hopefully we'll get more information on those soon. Outpost Defender-esque, I bet, says Plastic Battles. That's a good shout. Scott says only accept a checkpoint with a steel core and dog. Yeah, big time. Defense post, just a big log to stick in the ground. That would suck, wouldn't it? And the other name only reveal is a little bit more clear, in that it is a Desert Scorpion with Pet Scorpion. Now I've used the vintage Desert Scorpion kind of image there, and that's what I'm expecting to some degree, with obviously the cool Scorpion as well. But you know, we have seen on their website back in the day, they did use the Sand Scorpion, I think it was, image, didn't they, on their website? So I'm not expecting it to be that, but you never know. And they could just do some sort of upgrade thing. But I'd love to see what we're looking at here, that kind of vintage style, almost like, you know, almost Snake Eyes version 4 head. As long as I don't reuse that Snake Eyes head, because that would be annoying, wouldn't it? It has to have its own friggin' head sculpt. Hello, Toy Kind of Mood. How you doing, bud? How you doing, Travis? Yeah, so again, I'm very excited for that figure and pet set, and we might be able to unlock a listing or two today. So we'll be talking about a little bit of the unlocked listings page in a second, I think. But there you go. Name only reveals, only 2 of them for this event, but there will be more next week, and probably more the following week, and then probably a few more the final week of June. Don't expect everything to be done at once. This is going to be spread out, and yeah, we're going to get some cool stuff all month long. Anyway, so that is name only reveals. Then we got, this isn't really a reveal technically, but we got the digital renders, and effectively what they did here was they just gave Lenny a bit more time to do more kind of discussion on this particular vehicle, and he explained that there was the removable roll cage, there was the the turning wheels at the front. So the wheels do turn at the front, but they're not connected to the steering wheel. So that would have been cool, but yeah, that hasn't happened. There was another thing you mentioned about the longer nose on the Ore Striker, and I can't remember really why, other than they based it on some sort of like, you know, desert or dune based vehicle, and it had a longer nose. Probably talking about the Chenoweth actually, but I couldn't quite grasp what he meant by that. But it makes sense because the Chenoweth had a bit more of a longer elongated nose, but we can't really see it from this angle because you're seeing it from that sort of like, you know, that kind of side front on sort of vibe, so you don't get the actual full length, Kitty said. So anyway, and also I kind of get the feeling that we might be seeing this next week. Just putting that one out there. I feel like we might see this one next week. I also feel like we might see this one next week as well. The Legacy firefighter, the Legacy police officer. Now, I think this one came out really, really cool. Yes, there's a little bit of reuse here from Law and Order in the secondary, which is great because that's a phenomenal secondary, and obviously got lots of you know, really cool like features on that one, especially with the kind of mic and everything and the cord. Who's mic cord? And obviously the helmet's pretty dope as well, with the kind of, the police deco on it and the kind of big kind of visor. Lots of sort of like, you've got the flare and the taser, which is expected as well. The nightstick all makes sense. Different heads, of course, different kind of alternate heads. He's got the cap. He's got the kind of like the actual police kind of hat as well. The shades, kind of like the shooting range shades almost. Cuffs make sense. Pistol, yep. Rifle, of course. And then the cool things that I think really come into play here, that I really like. The coffee cup with the little, the little kind of cardboard kind of holster for it, or holder for it, so you don't burn your hand. That's very, very nice indeed. Does it have a name on it? I should have zoomed in on that, because I forgot to check to see if there's anything written on that. Yeah, it says Joe, obviously. Brilliant. I didn't zoom in on here, but it does say Joe. It's kind of like written in sort of like kind of cursive, but that's really, really fun, like handwritten cursive. Yeah, it's a really cool looking figure. And then of course you've got the two major kind of like aspects here. You've got that riot shield, which has got all the kind of like markings on it, and I guess is going to be semi-transparent, maybe. Is it? Did he say that? I can't remember if he said if he said anything about the shield being see-through or not. But that's fun. And then of course that poncho, which is wicked. I love that they're doing that poncho. Whose major aspects? Amazing, Scott. Yellow is non-lethal. Yes, indeed. It was it's the taser and the flare. So yeah, I don't think you're going to be doing much damage with them. Right then, that is the Legacy Police Officer. And again, I feel like they're kind of doing like a this feels like we're going to see these next week. That's what it feels like to me, so that they can reveal more stuff later in the month. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what it feels like to me. Like, I feel like we might see these guys in full next week. So that's, yeah, Ore Striker, Legacy Cop, and then we got the Sarge and Mercer. Again, I feel like we might be seeing all three of these next week. That's my gut feeling here. And of course, with the Sarge, there's a lot of interesting aspects and elements in here. So they've gone with that kind of desert kind of deco. We have sort of seen a very similar kind of vibe on the JoeCon exclusive from many moons back, that also had a 3-pack of the Renegades in a similar deco. So I wonder if we might see Mercer, Taurus, and Red Dog again in that deco. Who I think possibly that might happen. A lot of people have talked about Mercer's size, and I think one of two things here. I think one, it doesn't help being like putting next to Sarge, because the Sarge is one of the biggest figures that's in the line. He just towers over everyone. Like, I've got like there's a little group of them over here in a display, and Sarge's head is like a head bigger than everyone else. I personally think, if I was doing this, if I'd been like designing this line, if I had been kind of making decisions on what was going to be the case with these guys, I probably would have made Mercer about the same height at least as the Sarge, just not the same size. So like, if thing is, if you look at like the cartoon, you look at the Sunbow movie, the animated movie, they are all huge. So like, Mercer's huge, Taurus is huge, Red Dog is huge, and I sort of feel like even Skybound sort of picked up on that and made a massive Mercer. And I feel like this one could have been a little bit bigger, but I also know fully well that he probably won't look as small next to everyone else in the line. It's just because the Sarge is so ruddy massive. Yeah, that said, I think Mercer, as design-wise, looks great. Just height-wise, I think he needs to be a little bit bigger. And again, backpack. So I didn't even notice that the first time, but he clearly comes with a backpack, which is good. Is it the Viper backpack, just out of interest? Because that would be kind of fun. It's probably not, though, is it? I don't even know what that backpack is. Do we know what that is? Because I can't I can't think of if it's been reused or not. Does anyone know? Anyone have an idea on the backpack? Because I'm not sure. I recognize it, but I don't know who it's for. My counter argument is Mercer should be the same size as the Viper. No, since he was, a Viper. Yeah, but not all Vipers are the same size. They're not stormtroopers. They're not clones. Dusty, yes, absolutely. But in your thing there about making him the same size as the Viper, it would be cool because then you could swap the heads round and almost get get away with it because he's the same size. Whereas if he was massive, you'd have trouble making him look like. Well, then again, I don't know. I don't know if it would. It wouldn't be that bad, or although he'd look smaller, wouldn't he? Anyway, yeah, he's got retro Viper legs in the render. Interesting. Dusty backpack. Thank you. Did I say that? I'm not even sure. I saw loads of people come in the comments and say Dusty's backpack. Thank you very much. Yeah, Jeremy, Darren, Ryan, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that. I thought I recognized it. I just couldn't place it, which is funny because Dusty's backpack is quite obviously like that shape and everything. They come in loads of gear. And again, the Sarge has got the beret, he's got the cover, the standard cover, and then he's got that other cap. And then, sorry, he's got another cover, I should say. And then he's got the alternate head with the whistle in it as well, because they wanted to do something slightly different with it. And I respect that. I respect that they tried another little thing here, and I quite like that idea. He doesn't actually come with a loose whistle by the look of it, does he? Which is interesting because you'd think you'd want sort of both options, but the whistle head is really good. And of course, his baton is his stick, his staff sergeant poker, the pistol, very nice with the white handle as well. That's really cool. A couple of rifles. Well, he's got a rifle. There's an amazing grenade launcher, and I love some of those futuristic rifles. That one at the top right. Have we seen that yet? Have we seen that yet? I don't recognize it in the classified line. I recognize it because it looks cool. But have we seen that? Probably with the Viper 3-pack or something. Does anyone know if that top right kind of futuristic ass rifle has been used before? Because I don't recognize it in the line yet. Anyone? Let me know. I'll come back to that one. It's a new Chris Vector. Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Vector. Yep. That much appreciated. So this is new. We haven't seen it in the line. It's very awesome. Yeah, I'm very into that one. I like the fact they gave Mercer 2 different heads to kind of make him like kind of angry and neutral. And the fact that the other thing they mentioned, which you can't see on this render, is that he has a tattoo on his elbow. He has a spider web tattoo on his elbow, which is interesting. And also the Cobra patch with the line through it is very nice indeed. Reuse of the same. Are they the same shades that the cop has? They might be, Yeah, I think they are. Same cop shades. Sharing some shades. Or it's an accident and he doesn't come with the shades. No, he did say that it does actually come with those shades. But yeah, nice loadout. And yeah, the only reuse weapon is Leatherneck's rifle. Everything else is new. That's crazy. I didn't know those. For some reason, yeah, they're all really cool. Actually, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Yeah, so there you go. Sarge and Mercer. Like I said, I would have preferred Mercer to be taller for sure, but also I genuinely think the Sarge is just a massive, massive figure, and that's probably why that's happening. It doesn't help, does it? It's kind of like, I do think he probably could have done with being a bit bigger, personally. But we'll see. We'll see how they turn out, won't we? Either way, Mercer, we've got him in the line. And it's not the other thing as well. I will say is that is not a Warthog Sarge. That is that more like the desert kind of Renegades GI Joe Con exclusive kind of deco. So it leaves the door open for 1, a Warthog Sarge, and 2, more importantly for me, a Warthog which I still think, imagine if that had been like, it's probably not going to be the Haslab, but I would love a Haslab warthog, just saying. A Haslab warthog. Amazing. There you go. That is Sarge and Mercer 2-pack. Now, let's get into the pre-orders. Now, the first one that we knew was coming, but we didn't have any images of it at that point, was Slice and Dice, which is nice. Yeah, twice. But not thrice. Any other? Lice? That's gross. Anyway, yeah, so Slice and Dice in the heist. And this is so much better than even the render could kind of like give us. The fact that we're using the Ninja Force logo is nice. Like, yeah, brilliant. Get in there. Why wasn't that being used on Nunchuck's box? Why didn't we get it on Storm Shadows? You know, this is far too long in coming on the box, you know, to not have the correct appropriate logo usage. So Ninja Force, brilliant. And that does hint at the fact that we'll see more Ninja Force in the future. So again, a lot of bonuses to take from this, but also this set is mental. Now, one of the big things a lot of people are talking about as well at the moment is this image right here. Yes, it's the back of the box. It's the rendered image on the back of the box, which has given the sneakiest, cheekiest little look into a possible figure in the future. And it's blown up, hasn't it? Like, loads of people are kind of like getting into this and talking about who this could be and all that kind of stuff. Now, I have a couple of suggestions here. I've got one suggestion and a couple of reasons for it. Now, when I look at this image and zoom in, it looks very blue and white to me. It looks like the head is going to have a lot of white on it, and it looks like the body's going to have a lot of blue, white gear and all that kind of stuff. So to me, this looks like Bushido. Without a doubt, this looks like Bushido to me. Yes, there's another shout though. Ninja Viper, people have been saying, which is a high possibility. It's not Shadow Tracker. It's not a Snake Armor. For me, I personally think I went with my gut immediately on this. As soon as I saw the image, I went, that's Bushido. And I don't know if I haven't seen Bushido's name come up in anything in the future yet. It's so it's not necessarily going to be Bushido, but it just, when I look at it, I just go, it's Bushido. And like all those things I just mentioned, the fact that there's blue in there very clearly, the white aspect in there too, and the fact that if that head, which is clearly getting lost in the white background, is probably also white, then Bushido makes a lot of sense with that white kind of helmet. Now, the other aspect I'm going to throw in here is that Bushido is an Arctic ninja, right? Is he an Arctic ninja? I think he is. I can't remember now if he is or not. Have I just gone absolutely mad? Am I getting him mixed up with somebody? No, I'm pretty sure Bushido is an Arctic ninja. And based on what Emily said, snow ninja. He's technically a snow ninja. But when I look at the only thing that could change my mind on this one, although when I look at it again, there could be another color in there that's just really like getting blurred out a little bit, because he does have like that reddy orangey kind of element on his chest as well, doesn't he? Has those kind of like that red orange deco on the front of his getup as well. So, but then I kind of look at it and I go, I could see that being muted. I could also see it kind of getting blurred into the other color as well. But then obviously the fact that Emily was saying on the Haslab reveal, she mentioned the words chill, she mentioned the word frosty, made me kind of think, are they sort of like sneakily hinting at like Haslab adjacent stuff? Could Bushido be a release that kind of comes out, like like later on, but alongside sort of the Haslab, which I think a lot of people are thinking is going to be the Snowcat, but spoiler alert. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Anyway, that's my first thought. When I saw this image, I thought, well, it's got to be a ninja. It's got to be in that sort of same kind of period, that sort of like Ninja Force, Deke cartoon sort of arena. And, he's on this like, mountain in the background, obviously doing something very ninja-like. And yeah, she said chill, Jason, not cool. She said chill and frosty are the two words I think she used. She might have actually said cool, Jason. Actually, I tell a lie. She might have said cool, but she also said mainly chill and frosty. And yeah, there was like snow, kind of like. Well, when I first saw it, I was kind of looking at it, going, "Is that snow or is it like?" No, it's snow, definitely. So yeah, I kind of feel like we could see Bushido, is all I'm saying on that one. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not pushing you in any direction. If you guys think it's something else, you think it's something else. What do you think it is? Who do you think it is a good shout. Cal thinks hardtop, genius. Frostbite and wind chill, says Flaffle. Bushido has blue sleeves, says Joss Ray. Well, yeah, but like also there was so many things about the image of Crystal Ball, but when you've got the arms, they tend to like the white around those arms is going to envelop them because they're thinner than the thicker parts of the body that you can see are clearly blue. So it could he could have blue arms because there are like very faint lines on those arms that could be a darker color. We don't have an Arctic Snake Eyes yet. We kind of do, Lone Dragon. We had that Timber and Snake Eyes release, didn't we? That was, with the kind of like shamak kind of thing. Yeah, that little scarf thing. You know what I'm talking about. I think that is almost accepted as a snow version or an Arctic version of Snake Eyes. But we don't have a proper Arctic version of Snake Eyes to get into the weeds on that particular comment. You're right. Ghost Ninja with exposed skull, says Barking Fridge. That would be amazing. Bushido is a nunchuck repaint with a new head, so he's easy for them to do. Absolutely, Ryan. Do you know what's really interesting about that, Ryan? Is and I spoke to Adam. I spoke to Adam Riches about this a lot as well in the group and everything. And I remember him saying, made a point of it in the group chat we were having, and kind of put the pictures in, and he said, do you know what, I never even realized it was like almost like neck to toe repaint of nunchuck, and neither did I. When we showed the image, I'm like, God, that is like the power of deco right there, especially back in the day. It's one of the color change ninjas, says Scott. Cool, I'm in. 610 says, hey Chris, is the red highlight gun with Mercer one of the Cobra laser guns from the Energon Universe books? I don't know, but I'll have to have a look at that closer. 610. That's a good shout, though. It could be. Cool, chill, frosty. Yes. All very obvious terms when you're doing the hints, isn't it? I think we can see Bushido. I do not think that character in the picture is... I think we can see Bushido. I do not think that character in the picture is Bushido. Who do you think it is, Ryan? Arctic Hit and Run, Detective Dirty. Yes, there is precedent for that as well in the Special Missions issue, isn't there? One of my like big wants actually is an Arctic Hit and Run where he's got the white and the blue. I loved that in the comic. I thought he looked so good, and it was so random. Like all of a sudden Hit and Run's in there, but he's not in, he's in white, and yeah, I mean it was snowing, but it wasn't like in the Arctic. It was just a snowy scene, wasn't it, outside the house. I'm sticking with Snake Armor, says RKW. Hilarious. Maybe it is a rocket. That's too funny, John. Are there any background teasers that we haven't gotten revealed yet? Asks Ryan. No, I don't think so. Apart from the ones that we got today. But we'll see. HoloNet says Sub-Zero. Brilliant. Bushido, says John. Yes, I think so. What the hell are we looking at here? Exactly, Todd. I think it's Bushido is what I think we're looking at. Arctic Snake Eyes is coming with a polar bear. Technically, that's a good point, Lightfoot. But anyway, I think it's a Storm Shadow, probably with different gear to army build him. He is the Ninja Force leader, says Thousand Wolves. Interesting. It'd be cool to find out what this actually is. Call me crazy, but I think that's Night Force Charbrawl in the picture, says Ryan. Unbelievable. You've stolen that off Jeremy, Amazing. Anyway, let's move on, because I think we could debate that for ages, and we're actually talking about slice and dice right now, or should be. Phenomenal set, this. Absolutely phenomenal. These have got so many different options. What I love about this 2-pack and the Bushido, sorry, I'm saying Bushido now, this 2-pack and the Budo 2-pack, so many different options. Like, you could buy multiples of all of these and just create completely different looks, and that's what I really like about them. This shot from yeah, there's all their loadout, which is nuts. 2 of those kind of hook swords, 2 little knives, 2 little kind of like wrist blade things. There's just so much going on here. It's nuts. I love that kind of like that get up with the straw hat, which is also a shield. I love that. That was genius. And also the kind of like that kind of like straggly bit of kind of like, you know, used material that's been turned into a cape. Love it. The colors on these are great. The deco's amazing. I love the alternate heads. There's an amazing picture of one of them in use, which is just nightmare fuel. So here they are with their alternate heads on. That kind of like that really cool Oni mask that Dice rocks, and then that almost like it's got that Flash Gordon guy. What's his name? What's the guy's name in Flash Gordon? I've just had an absolute brain fart. Completely had a brain fart. You know what I'm talking about, though? That kind of guy's mask that looks a little bit like Destro. But anyway, love it. Love these. That straw hat is so cool. Sorry, that's the one I was talking about, actually. But yeah, I love this. This not only is the straw hat like overtly like detailed, like to the point of they've gone so far beyond what they had to do, and it looks so good. Like there's little kind of points that stick out, the kind of detailed pattern on it, the texture across it. It's just so nice. Really nice. Clytus, thank you, Eric. It was Clytus. And yeah, we have this nightmare fuel of an image where he's kind of bending backwards, which is crazy, and then looking over at you. Oh, nightmare fuel. Big Trouble in Little China customs, Joss. Yes, with the hat, 100%. 100%. Makes me anxious for Green Ninja Firefly, says Squishy. Anxious or excited? Do you not want him, or do you want him? I'm not sure. But yeah, let us know. Voldo, people are saying in here. Lots of people saying Voldo-esque. Just very cool. This is so good. I think I love the hat and the cape on Dice more, and I love the I love the kind of crazy, weird, kind of shiny helmet mask on Slice. But the thing is, there's so many different cool options. It's just going to be difficult to kind of. I mean, a lot of people might just go for the standard Slice and Dice looks, and that's totally cool. I do love that original Slice kind of like fencing mask as well. I think that's really cool. But these are really nice. Here he is with the axes, which I've got like a dragon motif on them as well, which is really cool. Lenny did mention that in the stream. There's also a cool, interesting element on Slice, which I'm not going to get to at the moment because we're still looking at Dice. I'm really happy that we've got all these multiple head options, especially with this kind of classic Dice helmet as well. I will probably think I like that I like that new Oni mask he's got, but at the same time, this is such a cool look for Dice and so classic as well. Did I miss the Haslab talk? No, not at all. We're talking about that at the end-ish. Yeah, just awesome. And then here, then there were a couple of images that weren't on the actual Pulse website. So some of them were like extras that were on the show. So I've thrown in a couple of the extras as well. And that's one of the points I wanted to make right there. You see it on his arm on Slice. They've done a sai that tucks into the arm, which is so awesome. And I didn't even realize that until he pulled it out, Kitty said, on the show. And I was like, oh crap, how did I not notice that in on the renders, the fact that he's got something on his arm in the render? I wasn't sure if it was, I don't think it's in there on the render, is it? But it definitely would have, the actual wrist gauntlet would have shown like a little holster sort of thing. So I completely missed that the first time round. and I'm very excited. I mean, there's so much detail in these guys too, like so many textures. It's crazy. Did anyone else catch Storm Shadow on the mountain peak? I thought it was Bushido, personally, Joe. Snake Eyes, not Storm Shadow. I thought it was Bushido. I'll keep saying it. I think it's Bushido, but each to their own. If that's what you think it's going to be, then have at thee. If you get 2 sets, you can make slash and dash as well as slice and dice. Yes, hi, it's me. You can. Ryan says this is the same complaint I had. This is the same complaint I had about vintage dice as I have about this one. If he's supposed to be a night creeper, I would have liked hints of technology in his design. I'd have liked hints of technology in the Night Creeper they brought out. As much as I love that Night Creeper, and I very much love the Classified Night Creeper, he's up there with my favorite figures in the Classified series. I agree. I wanted them to really lean into the tech, have like a little, create like a crossbow with a little kind of like tablet section for it. So you put like a little phone or a little tablet on there, much like Dial Tone, who it's a myth. We don't know because it's legend at this point because no one's actually seen the figure. But yeah, I really wish they'd have lent into the more sci-fi aspects, the more tech aspects of the Night Creepers. And yeah, same kind of situation here with dice, or even maybe how cool would it have been if they'd have thrown in a Night Creeper style helmet in here. I suppose maybe you can use one of the, I wonder if the heads work. Maybe you could pop a Night Creeper version 2 head on dice, or a version 1 head on dice. That would be look kind of cool, I think. But yeah, we'll have to I think once we see if the heads are compatible, which I don't know if they are yet, I think like they're going to be uniform going forward from like the end of last year, but everything before is like, who knows? I'm down for Night Creepers with Ninja Wiimote accessories. Exactly, Ryan. How cool would that be? Sam says, hey, are they back to a stream once a week, or is this the only one till the one where we reveal the Haslab? They're doing something every week, every Wednesday for the month of June. So we'll have an update every week. It might be, I'm expecting like another pre-order set. I'm expecting more reveals, maybe some sort of like unboxing of the Rattler maybe could be up there, and then maybe a Haslab thing at the end. So yeah, yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, effectively, we don't know all the details. We just know they're doing something every week, every Wednesday. Right then, and then we have Slice here doing his. This was another one that wasn't on the Hasbro Pulse website, which I find quite weird. That sometimes happens. And in the background, you can see that it's that person, that figure in the background with the sword. Now, I said the other night when we were looking at the Budo images, could that just be Slice or Dice? It's very likely not Slice or Dice because Slice is on screen right now. So they could have like put Budo back there, could have put Dice back there while they had Slice in the camera. But the fact that we see that almost exactly the same pose in every image in different places with all of these figures in front of it makes me think this, makes me think this is a different figure and might be the one that we see on that mountaintop. It might be Bushido, it might be Storm Shadow, it might be Snake Eyes, it might be Chabang, it might be Dojo. It could be any of those, really, couldn't it? But at the same time, like, I do feel like there might be a, like a double hint thing going on here. The back of Slice and Dice's box, basically, and in the back of these promo images. So it's quite possible that's what they're doing. And trust me, I know them. I know Matt as well. After having a couple of interviews with Matt, I know for a fact, because he said it as well, that they put stuff in the background all the time. If they have the opportunity, they will do it. If they have, like a model or a figure, like a pre-production or a production sample of something that we haven't seen yet, that is kind of in development, they will put it in the background and they will tease it to the point of, I don't know, to the point of making us all absolutely mental. Now, this is a good point Thank you, Darren, for sending me this image. There is a precedent of a figure standing on a mountaintop. Let's go back to this. A figure standing on a mountaintop. There is precedent for it in the Deke cartoon, and it was version 4 Snake Eyes. So I can see them very, very likely. That is a very good possibility. That's just Snake Eyes, and that would definitely, it's lining up with like the colors a little bit. To some degree, some of the shapes. The only difference is the actual figure of Snake Eyes version 4 has like an all grey top, doesn't it? So it could be Snake Eyes version 4, or it could be something new, or it could be a snake armor. But anyway, thanks for sending that, Darren, because I appreciate the fact that there is precedent for that, and it is Snake Eyes version 4. Now they could have just taken that and gone, let's really mess with them. Because the thing is, there's no reason for them to blur to the point of almost can't recognize it, Snake Eyes version 4, because it's already out. Unless, of course, there was an element of timing where that Snake Eyes wasn't revealed when they did the render background for this. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm gonna stick with Bushido for now, but it could very much be Snake Eyes from the Deke cartoon version 4. Anyway, that could be a mystery solved, but you know what? I'm going to ask them the question, because if it is Snake Eyes, then it's Snake Eyes. But if it isn't, and they can say it's not Snake Eyes, then the mystery is back on again, isn't it? Let's see what happens, because they'll if it is Snake Eyes, they can just say yes, it's version 4 Snake Eyes. That's revealed. That's fine. No one cares. It's fine. We'll go with that. Anyway, pew 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 pew. This is another great shot of Slice and Dice, and again, one of very few images that highlight the bald head for Dice. But as you can, what I will also say is the kind of straw hat and the cape look really good on both figures, but I definitely think I'll use it for Dice more. It just kind of like makes more sense to me on Dice. I don't know why. It just feels like more natural on him, but it's still very cool. Scott says Slice and Dice were announced and render revealed before version 4 Snake Eyes, weren't they? So that could line up. It was about the same-ish time, wasn't it? It wasn't too far apart, I don't think. I can't remember. Everything turns into a bit of a blur, honestly, with these things. But yeah, brilliant stuff. This is fun. I like it when there's a mystery, and I've done this in the past where it's been like, that to me looks like this figure, and then it turns out to not be any of those. Crystal Ball, for example, that was such an out there maneuver because they knew they would get away with it. They knew that people wouldn't know what that figure was until those leaked images came out and we saw the jacket with those little side things, which sort of lined up and made sense to me at that point. And then when the Cthulhu hat was leaked, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, for sure. Slice and Dice 160, Budo 172. Thank you, Jeremy. Did someone ask that question? MMS 182, says Scott. Cool. Also, no one's mentioned this. No one said anything. Prices are the same. Did you notice that? $34.99 deluxe, $54.99 2-pack, $74.99 MMS with figure. Everyone was expecting the prices to be all over the place, and no one is saying, well, that's good. Everyone is just I think everyone was ready to just complain about the price being like skyrocketing. Not even an issue. So very happy with that. I will say there was a little bit of me that was going, even though we had pre-order listing information with pricing on it, I was like, I don't trust this. Not until I see it on the screen in front of me, am I going to trust this? They add slice mask texture, says Soda. Did they? I can't tell. It still looks shiny to me, but it might have a little bit of texture on it. Oh yeah, I suppose it does. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'll have to get another shot of it. But yeah, these figures look great, don't they? There's the detailing on the axes. Very nice indeed. and lots of extras, so many extras. All the different heads here. You've got the kind of like shiny one, which is it gold? It looks silver there, but I think it's gold. Hard to say. Deco process texture, is it? That's probably what it is. Thank you, Paul. The bald head, and of course that awesome like Oni mask, that kind of dragon mask is so cool. And I love the fact that they just went, yeah, let's do a red and blue one. No like actual connection to dice in any way, shape, or form. Like it's just going to look mental on him, but I think it's great. Oh yes, I will tell you right now. Let's make this very clear. I did get a message from Luke Poulon from Canada to say that the price was incorrectly posted in Canada for the MMS for like 140, and it's actually technically 104 dollars for the Canadian version of the or the Canadian, not the Canadian MMS, the MMS if you're in Canada. But the actual price on, I think, is it Amazon Canada, hasn't changed. But do not buy it at 140 because it should technically come down to 104 because it was an error. So shout out to all our Canadian fans. I know it's difficult at the best of times collecting this line in different countries. But yeah, just so you're aware on that one. Yeah. So anyway, lovely stuff. And then here's a back shot, Kitty said, of Slice and Dice. I think well, there's more images of them. Yeah, we've got the hat and the cape here. I don't know what to call it. It is a cape, I guess, but I always want to call it. I was going to go in a bit more detail. It's like a ripped, torn, worn, kind of like shred of material, but it's really, really dope. Studio Henge says price drop from 140 to 104 at my local toy shop here in Canada. Yay. Yes, Amazon Canada still 140. Yes, do not get it yet. Isn't there a precedent for a Canadian MMS? Probably. I don't know what that means though. Joe says the hat being a shield is the kind of effort I need from this creative team. It's genius. Never would have thought that. I never would have thought of that in a million years. I don't know where he got the idea from. If it's been in a different line in the past, where they've kind of another action figure has kind of done something like that, where the hat becomes a shield. I'm sure it has happened, but it's genius. And I think that Lenny needs a really good pat on the back there for that one. So big shout out to Lenny. Yeah, brilliant stuff. And then of course this was interesting. So the pre-order was stated. It was weird. It was different to the other two, and I don't know why this was the case, but it was an error. They were saying it was 12 p.m. Eastern with 1 p.m. all fans, and I thought, okay, well maybe it's because it's the Pulse exclusive. They're giving Pulse fans an opportunity, Pulse Premium members an opportunity an hour prior to the 1 o'clock situation, and that was my headcanon. I was like, okay, that makes sense. The others were going up at 1 p.m. because they were different exclusives. It was all mainline and Fanmazon. So I was like, okay, maybe no big deal. And yeah, no, it was 1 p.m. So the funny thing was, it was 12:08, and I was like, oh crap, I've completely forgotten. And I jumped on there, and I'm like, there's nothing on here. Has it sold out so quick that they've removed it from Pulse again, like they did with the modular fortification? No, it just was an error, and 1 p.m. was the actual time it went up for premium, and 2 p.m. for everybody else. So I hope you guys all managed to get, whether you wanted it. Obviously, if you wanted it, I hope you did manage to get them. I was fortunate, but again, I did it immediately, straight away on Pulse, no messing around. Alec Wu says 4.5-inch line had a hat like that for the Blind Master Retaliation line. Yes, but did it turn into a shield? I don't remember it doing that. I don't think it did, because I remember that figure I actually bought for a friend as well. So I had one, and I love that RZA figure. And because my buddy, shout out to Fred, he is a hip hop fan as well. We used to make music together. And don't anymore because he lives in Australia now and I live over here, so quite a distance between us, which is a shame. But I bought him one of that retaliation, that RZA figure, because obviously, you know, we loved hip hop, and yeah, he loved it. So I remember that hat very, very well. It's really cool, actually, that figure. I really do like that RZA retaliation figure. There's no point blaming Emily for it. She was just reading off. She was, you know, reading the information that was said. It was an error. Big deal. They happen. It's like, I think everyone expected 1 o'clock anyway, like in general, like, because that's always been, and the others were 1 o'clock, so doesn't really make much difference, does it? It wasn't like it was like they said 1 o'clock and it was actually up at 12. That would have been bad. Oh, that would have been bad. Slice and Dice still up for pre-order on Pulse. Glad they have enough to meet demand. Yeah, I'm surprised, actually. Well, I'm not, because this usually happens with the more expensive items, is unless it's like an exclusive, like a really difficult exclusive, like a Amazon exclusive, for example, or something like that. I don't necessarily expect, you know, we've seen Pulse exclusives last most of the day going into the evening, and it's only 7. Oh, there's another little thing on the back of the render that I didn't notice before. Yeah, that's cool. So there's another Deke reference. Thank you, Darren, for pointing out all the references I'm missing. I'm going to go back to it just to point out what I'm talking about. So on the back of, I've got to find it first, though. It's really difficult on this tiny screen image. Wherever I've put these, I don't think it's there. No, I went too far. Here we go. If you look on the rock to the left-hand side of Slice, you'll see a sword stuck in that rock, and it looks very much like this image. Thanks again, by the way, Darren, for sending me this image and doing all the hard work so I don't have to. From there, look. So that's version 4 Snake Eyes again, with that sword from the episode, from the Deke cartoon, the sword. And there it is, stuck in that rock, which is cool, isn't it? That's really cool. Thank you, Darren, for doing all of the hard work so I don't have to. I literally I just coast, and I just get I get all my stuff done crowdsourced. Well, it's all crowdsourced for me. Anyway, so thank you, Darren. Very much appreciating the assist there. That's it. I have already talked about Sarge and Mercer. Let's move on from that, and let's get into, is it this? No, it's this. Budo. There we go. Budo. Now, I will admit on this one, I have looked at the back of this and I can't find anything. So sorry about that, guys, other than the location being like the same location we've seen a couple of times on the back of boxes already. So yeah, can't really go into more detail with that one. I couldn't see anything else. Maybe there's a snake armor back there, maybe not. But Budo is probably up there now for classified figure of the century. And it's only been 5 years of the half century. No, that's not right. The half decade. There's me not being able to count or understand how numbers work. But phenomenal. This figure is great. Just for this, actually, the Japanese logo on the arm is the touch of the century of the half decade. Just the kind of things I like about the classified line is when this can happen. And who doesn't want that Takara logo on a figure? I certainly want it. So yeah, beautiful stuff. Absolutely beautiful stuff. And this figure is nuts. The ceremonial version is crazy. The standard kind of more military version is amazing. All the different options and ways that you can have Budo look. 2 of these are necessary, guys. I'm telling you now. So good. Airplane City. Budo was the quickest name reveal, render reveal, and figure on hand reveal in classified history, says Airplane. That's genius. It probably was, actually, wasn't it? I feel like it's happened before where it's gone name only, render in was it Metalhead? No, it wasn't Metalhead. Who was it that this has happened to in the past? Someone let me know in the comments because I can't remember who it was now. But there was one where it was a similar thing. It was like bosh, bosh, bosh. But you're right. We didn't have a name only reveal for Budo, did we? We had render straight to in hand. I genuinely don't think there was a name only for it, was there? But that's so funny. Yes, Jason, Emily does look great. Budo is amazing. I almost thought about getting 2 more as samurai bodyguards. He looks so awesome. That's actually a good shout, Matt. That is a really good shout. These do look like it does look like a kind of like, yeah, you could see 2 of these at the kind of like the door of a Arashikage temple or something like that. I mean, yeah, amazing. Ryan says, need boss fight studio to make some samurai skeletons for epic hacks. I'll see what I can do. Crystal Ball went through the pipeline pretty quickly. He did, Ryan, yes. There's been a few that have kind of ripped through there. Desert Snake Eyes read was just boom, in hand. There was no other element. There was no name only. There was no render. It was just straight away, oh, a Desert Snake Eyes exists. We had the listing for that read for, I want to say, over a year. Aesop, his name was in the listing, the kind of internal code word, and did not know what it was until the day it came out. And that was one that we did not know was coming, and boom, there it was. It was crazy. There looks like there's a couple of faces in the bush by the glove pick, but it could be pareidolia. Flaming Crow says, you mean on Budo's thing? I'm gonna have to zoom in on this, aren't I, and have a proper look at it. Anyway, we'll come back to that. If I do find anything, I'll make it big and post it on the socials. Paul got 10. You got 10 Budos, you absolute psychopath. To be fair, Budo went render to pre-order, not in hand. If they want to ship mine tomorrow, though, I won't complain. That's very true, Bad Wolf. I think when they say in hand, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I was thinking kind of in hand, in their hands. But yes, you're right. In hand is a completely different thing altogether. What I thought was cool was how there weren't any or hardly any spoilers. Just popped up with Budo, made him even more awesome. I will say there have been leaked images, but they never leaked, if that made sense. There were images of Budo things and bits and pieces, and I was worried for a while because I saw them and I thought, oh, these are probably going to get out, and they didn't. So it was nice that we got that render. Like, and there was a good couple of months before, between those images popping up, and I say popping up, being like circulating through certain avenues, if that makes sense. But yeah, they didn't get leaked, as it were, which was nice. So yeah, we got Budo. Jobs are good. And I was happy to get 2 Budos. It's an amazing figure, and I love anything with a Japanese aesthetic. Says Lone Dragon. No, it wasn't Lone Dragon that said that. Sorry, it was Wilfredo. My apologies. Lone says, I just want them to fix the wheels on the Ore Striker so I can buy more than one. I'm already going to have to buy a third-party kit to fix the gun. If I have to get one for the tires too, unhappy face. I think the Ore Striker is kind of how we see it. And we'll probably see it in full next week, is what I'll say to that one. So hold your fire until you see it, I guess, in person or in hand, or whatever you want to call it. Matt says, the job Lenny did with the design on Budo makes me wish he was doing a samurai line as well. I know, he's really gone to town on this. Anyway, painting them up like stone warriors, says Paul. That's awesome. Like terracotta style. Amazing. Budo on Pulse, I think, sold out. Yeah, he's on his main line, though, so you should be able to get him elsewhere. Whoops, sorry. I would love a wooden rack to display that samurai outfit on. Maybe I'll have to make something. Yes, definitely, Studio Henge. Jason says, so Globulus Pythona Royal Guard 2026? Hopefully. Budo and Hawk are sold out on Pulse. Awesome. Yeah, again, Fanmazon, so Fan Channel and Amazon, so you should be able to get it elsewhere. Anyway, Budo, look at this. This is him in his full ceremonial regalia, including shin guards and wrist gauntlets as well. He's got the neck guard on this one as well, that kind of cool neck guard, which kind of gets lost in the images, but like you see it a lot in the render on white background, like, you know, kind of like the loadout images and in the package. Hope Lenny getting bonuses. It's Hasbro, so probably not. Is Budo going to be available in retail, or was it only for Pulse? No, Luis. So Pulse exclusive Slice and Dice. That's the only Pulse exclusive. That's the only way you get Slice and Dice. Still available. Budo is mainline. He goes up on Pulse as well, but is sold out on Pulse. But he's available everywhere else because he's mainline. MMS is Fan Channel and Amazon. So online retailers, effectively, Amazon and Pulse, but is now sold out on Pulse, but available elsewhere. So that's how it works. That's how it operates. Eben says, looks like a statue, just amazing. It does. It's amazing. It's incredible. And then we have this. Obviously, I looked at these last night. It's not, you know, they're incredible. Budo is incredible. I don't really need to go in crazy detail here, but just so good. I love every version of this. And here's a close-up of that little character in the background, which again, I think is going to be something new in the line, personally, because I know for a fact that they do that. They want to throw these things in the background every now and again. I mainline Budo every morning. Hell of a truck. Indeed. Hi, it's me. Yeah, so I don't know who it is, but I'm excited to find out. This shot is a good one as well. I love this one on the right-hand side when he's got the alternate head. Very much that homage to that Retaliation Budo, which was all red. So I wonder if we'll get an all red redeco of this at some point. Probably not, because they've kind of homaged the red in there. But I'd be intrigued to see if they did anything like that, and maybe gave him the antlers helmet as well. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? I think that'd be kind of fun. This is a great shot as well, chopping the retro bat's head off. And he's already cut the hand with the pistol in it off as well on the floor there. And that shot on the right-hand side without any of the secondaries on is pretty cool. It's cool that this figure's so versatile. So many different, like, I don't know, just so many different options. I've said it before, but, you know, so many different, like, vibes with this one. And I'm excited to see this one in hand. And obviously, you know, with a couple, you can have one in one getup and one in another, and you've still got a ton of accessories that you probably need to utilize somewhere. So cool. That shot of him pulling the sword out of the sheath is arousing. But this is what these, like, Tripwire was the same. It was like it's like lots of different options in a box, and you've effectively got two figures. So, you know, they want you to try and buy a couple. You know, they probably want that. That's the aim, isn't it? That's the marketing ploy here for the deluxe figures, the $34.99 figures. Budo sold out on Amazon, but MMS still available. Thank you, R Sharp. Where are we in every other aspect, though? Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, yada yada yada. It's good to know, because I think Budo is going to be a sellout, though, isn't he? The removable bun, yes, they did talk about that on the show. His little bun at the back that is removable. I'll skim through these a little bit quicker because we have looked at all of these images already from yesterday, and this is where we need to get to. The actual figure in the studio, and they had him kind of like in the ceremonial sort of get-up, but with the straw cape and without the shin guards to give you a full transparency there. And yeah, again, just does not disappoint in any of the either promo images, the kind of in studio, in hand sort of situation. Just great, absolutely great. Yeah, phenomenal looking figure. And I think this is one that they may, you know, someone's just mentioned their lower production numbers. Detective Dirty's mentioned that. I think probably the same production numbers they've done on multiple deluxe figures, but some of them don't hit like this one. And I think a lot of people, there's a lot of things that are happening with this figure that's making it very, very popular. One, I would say, is the fact that it's phenomenal. So loads of gear, loads of value with this particular set. loads of options, loads of different weapons and accessories and helmets and heads and all sorts of crazy stuff. So that's one thing. The other thing is it doesn't necessarily have to be a classified figure. So it's going to appeal to samurai enthusiasts or people that like action figures like this, that aren't necessarily obviously GI Joe figures. Like you could probably put that figure in front of a lot of different people who aren't Joe fans, and I think you'd probably put it in front of people who are Joe fans, and they might not necessarily be confident in saying what it was or who it was necessarily without the context. So I think it covers that aspect as well, like a more commercial reach. Like it's not just people, because there were a couple of people in the comments when I posted the Budo images, I think, who said, I'm not a classified collector and I want this figure. So, I'm not saying that's all my evidence, but I feel like that is probably a reasonable theory. And I can't remember what the other factor was. I think just because it looks cool again. So I was just going to say it twice. But yeah, amazing stuff. He's just a great figure. And here's the alternate head that Lenny showed off a little bit there. That goatee, very nice. Another shot that was just a close-up that was different to some of the images we've already seen the full image of this, but I thought it was nice to get a close-up and see all those textures, lines, all that, like all on the armor as well, all the little kind of like, I mean, there's a lot going on. This is a very detailed figure, and for $34.99, it's kind of mental, honestly. But yeah. And then this is the other thing, showing off the secondary, the logo, the Japanese, the Takara logo. Next level. And he obviously went up Pulse and mainline retailers. He's just a standard deluxe figure. You never know, you might even see him on shelves at some point. Could you imagine? So all of the stock that goes out for like online and stuff might be kind of showing up sold out, but you might see them in store. I say might because I just don't know. It just seems so hit or miss with whether figures show up at actual retail or not. I'm hoping so. Genuinely hope so. Because I think this is one of those ones that people could. The other thing I forgot to mention was the fact that you could kind of say this is an army builder too. So you could army build one of those versions of Budo, as we've talked about already. So that adds another element to it. It's like an army builder. It's phenomenal, and it appeals to people outside of classified. That was my 3 points. I'm happy now. I think I've covered what I was going to say on that one, and that's why I think it's selling as well as it is. But there you go. And that went up at 1 p.m. Eastern, and they were correct about that. Now, we've already talked about the MMS as well, in the same way that I discussed Budo last night, because we got the images early, of course, leaked a little bit earlier than, well, not earlier than usual, the exact time I think everyone expects. Excuse me. I've been talking too much today, and I only had a little bit of drink, and now it's run out. Anyway, I already talked about this one in a little bit of detail, so we'll kind of get through the main images we've already talked about. Obviously, the Ore Striker shows up, and in that image, we can see the wheels are turned, so that's bonus. And I genuinely can't wait to see this in real hand and everything. So fingers crossed, it's an absolute banger next week. Here's the back of the image, the box. Standard. We've seen it before. We'll keep moving. Loadout is pretty large, again with the blast effects, and a lot of people kind of talking about the fact that they're the wrong way round, kind of color wise or like action wise, and that does look to be the case, doesn't it? Although I can't. Do they plug in the other way? It should be. Sorry, how does it work? How does it work, guys? Does it go in the back of the missile where the long peg is? And if so, should it be fiery orange first and then white at the end? or should it be white at the? But I can't. I can't think. Does the peg go in the? I've never ever put the blast effects on the HMS ever. Flames then smoke, of course, Airplane City. That makes a lot of sense. What I'm saying is it the case that the blast effect that we're looking at there, that the long peg goes in the back of the missile? Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you. Because that's not in my head working. And I think that's why I was thinking, well, don't you put the fiery bit in the back of the thing? But then you got that bit sticking out. You got the peg sticking out. So yeah, it is the wrong way around. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. I don't know. That said, I'll move on because we're not going to talk blast effects the whole time. Love this shot though; it's great. We see that again a little bit later on, but with the background. Yeah, we've seen all of these images already. Again, I love what they've done with this as a repaint. Because effectively we're just talking about a repaint at the end of the day. But the Colonel Hawk figure is pretty solid in this one, and I do love the fact they talked about like de-aging him a little bit, getting him like a younger head sculpt, trying to keep some of the like the signposts of his actual like older head in there, talking with the sculptor and everything. I thought that was really interesting information. Something I didn't notice before, but it says, yeah, wherever there's trouble over land, sea, and air, G.I. Joe is there, is written in text under the panel, which I think is the same thing that was on Duke's shovel or backpack or both. Anyway, Budo is up on Walmart apparently, guys. Budo and Hawk are still up on GameStop as well. Thank you very much for that information, guys. Lone says scrap iron blast effects are fine. It was the Stinger where they messed them up. Yeah, that's true. They just didn't change them, did they? Right. It's still set for scrap iron's missile drone, where the pegs went into the drone and the missile ported into the flame end. Thank you, Darren. Yeah, I guess that's what the situation is. But yeah. And then Paul says, well, actually, surface-to-air missiles have a bit of exhaust before the flame, then the flame, then the smoke. Yeah, there you go. Just Paul's just like throwing that one in there just to really boil some urine. Studio Hen says, this MMS looks great. Very happy to see so many white decos on everything instead of black, like the Vamp, more vintage style. But I wish the Joe logo was white or better red, white, and blue. And I'm Canadian. It's all good. Or do you not prefer it to be just red and white? That would work, wouldn't it? With little maple leaves on everything. That'd be really cool. Do you know what, Studio Henge? I love the fact that I have a couple of Canadian release Joe vehicles from back in the day, like when I was a kid. Didn't get them from Canada. They were import toys. I got one from like, I want to say one was from like Scotland and the other was from Manchester. And one was in a John Menzies, I believe. I remember. I think that was in Manchester, and the other one was in Scotland. And I can't remember where the store was, but I believe there's a John Menzies in Scotland as well. Might have been a John Menzies in both. But one was a pulverizer with the Canadian livery because it was a Canadian and all the Canadian mail away stuff inside in a little fold out leaflet, and the other one was the Sky Shark. So I have a Canadian Sky Shark and a Canadian Sky Patrol Shark and a Canadian pulverizer. And I love them because they've got the little Canada flags on them. It's so cool. It's so awesome to have like a little variation in there. Lightfoot says, I would buy an accessory pack with corrected blast effects. Matt says, scrap iron blast effects are wrong too. Are they? I'm losing track of everything at the moment, guys. I'm gonna move on from blast effects. Here is Hawk looking dope. Again, we've seen all the. I'm going to get past these because we've talked about these in massive detail. Let's get on to the images that were from the show. Here is that shot again, but on the background, which I think looks amazing. This is my favorite, especially with the kind of finger in the ear thing. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then obviously the actual thing itself. Now, for me, this is going to complete the Vamp, and the Ore Striker can tow it as well, which is pretty cool. And by the sounds of it, the Ore Striker is pretty large as well. So that's also a bonus to hear, by the way, because it doesn't really, you don't get that. Again, the render and the image we've seen on the box of the MMS don't quite give you every bit of information. So I'm very excited to see what the Ore Striker looks like. And yeah, here's the kind of the layout with all the blast effects, all the accessories, and of course Hawk there too. Yeah, the pose with the finger in the air, Derek, is amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. The other thing I will say about blast effects is I don't really use them that often. I've got Bazooka using a couple, but again, now that I think about it, it's wrong because it's the way that Bazooka uses them, it's the wrong way around. But it looks amazing, and I don't actually use them on any of the vehicles, so I don't think it's ever really going to be a problem for me. I do like some of the standalone blast effects where you can just have like little explosions and stuff. That they're kind of cute and fun. But yeah, I think what they probably need to do some new blast effects now. We need to see some nerns, as they say in Norwich. That's a new one. A nern. N-U-R-N. A new one. That would be a new one if you're really struggling with the what's the word? The dialect there. Guess a nern. Anyway. Yeah, great shots of this one. And there's Lenny's hand moving at an absolute pace there. Look at that. Really moving that one. The Dragonfly blast effects are cool. Yes, Matt, actually, I will give you that one. And here's old Hawk without his helmet on. That is a really, really nice buzz cut on him. And the fade, they were talking about the fade with the blonde hair being a little bit darker when it's closer to the, when it's shaved down, and then a little bit brighter when it's obviously there's more of it. So that's really cool. Look at that. Look at that. At shelf spaces, it's a nern for me. Yeah, brilliant stuff. He looks great. I like that they've got all their names on their gear. It's like the worst, like secret military group ever. Just like branding everywhere, your full names on everything. Really funny. That's not Old Hawk, Chris. That's Young Hawk. Yes, did I say Old Hawk? I think I don't mean literally. I didn't mean literally old. I was as in like there's Old Hawk, as in like there's your old. It's a dialect thing. I didn't mean literally Old Hawk. I meant there's Hawk. Anyway, and pre-order obviously went up at 1 p.m. Amazon Fan Channel and Pulse. Sold out on Pulse, sold out on Amazon, I believe, as far as what you were saying. And Fan Channel is obviously all the other online options like BBTS, Entertainment Earth, and everyone else online. Right, cool. Then we got Emily jumped on the show at the end. There's a little extra. OLE, yes, E-worthy, not OLD. Thank you. Not old. It was kind of like I was being cute. I wasn't being literal. And then Emily came on at the end and she gave us a little extra. She got back at the guys from last time for giving out a little bit of extra. And she not only did she kind of give us a little behind the scenes of Gus Rios as Zartan, like warming up on his guitar, which is pretty dope, actually. I've got to admit. They did that little thing, and of course, this is a precursor to the live performance, of course, that we're going to be subject to. It's SDCC at Brick by Brick, I believe it is, in San Diego. That'll be on the 24th, I believe, and that will be 9 p.m. performance. Doors open at 8 p.m. and yeah, that should be really fun. It's amazing. So yes, that's Zartan. And you can go check out again on the video. There's a whole clip with the music and all that kind of stuff in playing, and it just pans across. A lot of tattoos on that arm as on the other arm. Phenomenal. So yeah, hopefully, I'm really excited to see what comes out of that show. I imagine people will film it, in that really poor way when you're at a gig, when you film it and you can't hear anything. It's just like that, and like it's like a really badly lit situation. But I'm excited to hear that one. Live performance band had better not have any microphones or Lenny has some splaining to do. That's hilarious. Anyway, there and as well, there we go. We've got to the point now where we can talk about this. So yes, Emily jumped on to say things like cool. Thank you for that. I didn't realize she said cool, chill, and frosty in relation to revealing the Haslab will be announced at the end of Yojoe June, which is amazing. A lot of snow floated down. Now we know a couple of things, don't we? We know that the next one is going to be G.I. Joe related. It's not going to be Cobra. We've had the Rattler, and it goes kind of back and forth. It goes Cobra, Joe, Cobra, and now Joe again. So we've had the Hiss Tank, the Dragonfly, the Rattler, and now whatever this is going to be, which I think a lot of people have gone straight to Snowcat, which again, I'm with you. I think it's probably going to be a Snowcat. And a long, long time ago, there was a rumor that came out that the Snowcat and the Thunder Machine were going to come out as retail, whatever, and it never really transpired. And now this kind of makes sense to me as a Haslab. A lot of people are saying it's too small for a Haslab. What vehicle are you looking at? Because the Hiss Tank is smaller than the Snowcat. And I think, like, if they make this the size that we know it's going to be, this is going to be more than enough Haslab for me personally. Anyway, you know, a 2-person cockpit at the front straight away is going to be massive. Then you've got like a like a half track at the back as well. That huge section at the back, which is they're probably going to do something insane with. I think this one's going to have some, you know, then you got like the lights and all that kind of stuff. I don't honestly see this happening at retail, or I say retail as a Pulse exclusive or something like that. I do, however, see this as a Haslab, and then I could see them. You know, my next point is I could see them re-releasing this as a Tiger Cat, or I hope they do, without all of the accoutrement, like all of the lights and all of the, you know, some of the extra bits. And just kind of keep it simple, because I do sense that something like that is going to happen eventually with the tooling for, you know, like the Hiss Tank and the Dragonfly and the Rattler. So I don't think we're just going to see a one and done scenario with the Haslab tooling. I think we'll see those done later. That said, this Snowcat, I think I'm excited if it is a Snowcat. Obviously, I don't know what else it really could be in this scenario. What do you guys? I mean, what other options do you think it could be? If not the Arctic Blast, no. The the Polar Battle Bear, no. Yeah, I don't really know what else it could be. But in any case, let's talk figures, because I think we can all agree that Snowcat is the most likely candidate based on the information we have right this minute. Obviously, Frostbite comes base level with the actual Snowcat. That's what I would expect. Now, we don't know if it's a Snowcat, of course, but I'm just assuming it is based on the information we have at hand. For those that are kind of going, oh, so it's a Snow, I don't know. And haven't known. I thought it was going to be a Mauler, to be honest. And again, had no information other than me thinking it just might be that, based on the information that came out, or the leaked information that came out of the focus groups. Right. So I'm just going to assume it is a Snowcat, because I can't see it being anything else at this point. The Dominator tank, Holonet 1. Oh, that'd be great. I don't know if would Quinn be a good stretch goal? Would Quinn be a good stretch goal, or would he be one of those ones that would then really piss a lot of people off because they want him and they can't afford to buy into a thing? Could they do like a Quinn in a different sort of deco, or would you just expect it to be Quinn? It's a genuine question, because the tier figures has become quite the talking point, hasn't it? How is it too small, guys? It's not too small. The Snowcat's going to be massive. It's going to be huge. What are you talking about? I don't understand where you're getting this size thing from. The Snowcat would be huge. I don't get it. It would be massive. Anyway, Frostbite obviously would make a lot of sense as the actual figure done. In terms of tiers, There are a lot of, the problem is there's loads of Arctic characters, so I would expect them to do like Arctic Jacket, maybe. I could see them doing like an Arctic Jacket Sunbow movie sort of style, like Duke or Dial Tone would be funny, wouldn't it? The only way you can actually get Dial Tone now is by getting the Haslab. An Arctic Snake Eyes makes a lot of sense. Detective Dirty, absolutely. But again, they might want to keep a Snake Eyes to an Arctic Snake Eyes to a mainline release because they know that that would be one that people wanted because it's Snake Eyes. I think you probably keep. I know Cobra Commander came with the His Tank, so that is like an argument I'm losing with myself immediately. And the Baroness came with the Rattler, so maybe Snake Eyes isn't necessarily off the table. But yeah, I think an Arctic Snake Eyes would be a cool one. But would it be one that you then look at and go, oh, I don't know, I'd like that main line. I think an Arctic Scarlet, an Arctic Duke, an Arctic, someone like that. It doesn't have to be Duke or Scarlet, obviously, but I could see them more likely than Snake Eyes, just because I think Snake Eyes is one that they want to keep in the pocket for, you know, mainline releases and stuff. I could be completely wrong though. This is all opinion based. I don't know anything about, you know, that sort of stuff. Paul says Iceberg version 2. Interesting. Yeah, because obviously main Iceberg version 1 you'd expect to be, you know, a figure that you'd see in the main line. Arctic Stalker I'd expect in the main line. I wouldn't expect, I don't know, expect if they're going to do Tundra Ranger Stalker, they better bloody do his kayak is all I'm saying. So I don't necessarily expect that to be the case. Quick Kick Ryan. Oh, you're genius. Except you don't need to do anything for Quick. Although he did have an Arctic jacket in the movie, he doesn't have one in the Pyramid of Darkness, which is hilarious. Just all like topless in the snow. But yeah, still no shoes though. That would be funny as hell. An Arctic Quick Kick, actually, Arctic Jacket Quick Kick would be kind of fun. Or maybe Arctic Bazooka, Arctic Alpine. They're well known for their Arctic jackets, aren't they? In multiple episodes. So yeah, I think they've got options with that one. I definitely think with a Snowcat, you're talking 4 figures. Would you agree or disagree? Obviously, it's about equivalent, or it's going to be longer, but I would say equivalent of the His Tank in stature, probably longer, not necessarily taller, but certainly longer and wider than the His Tank, I would say. Hard to know though, isn't it, really? Arctic Lady J is a good shout. Night Force Snow Job. Now we're talking, Detective Dirty. Yeah, throwing in some Night Force could be kind of fun here because again, it makes sense with some of the other things they've done in the past. You're absolutely right with that. 25 was the Dreadnoks year. Is this set up for Arctic 26? Possibly. Battle Bear would be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, definitely, James, definitely. I want Sub-Zero, Blizzard, and Whiteout as tiers. You're not going to get them as tiers, Jeremy, unless it's Tiger Force Blizzard, which I could see them doing. Sub-Zero is a decent figure. Like I could see him, like Sub-Zero is a mainline character. It's got to be something a little bit quirkier, I think. Avalanche, again, is not a bad shout, but Battle Force 2000, if you're going to keep one of them in a Haslab and then the rest come out elsewhere, that's going to suck, isn't it? If you're trying to collect the Battle Force 2000. I don't think it'll just be all of the traditional Arctic figures. I just don't think it will be ones that you could see as mainline characters. They're genuinely going to have to think about this one and really kind of, you know, put in like a redeco of something that sort of makes sense. Okay, Arctic DJ, we are talking now, White. That DJ redeco makes a lot of sense. I'm with you on that. Arctic Steel Core makes a lot of sense. Tiger Force Blizzard, I think, makes sense, especially considering we don't seem to have an obvious avenue for Tiger Force repaints at the moment. I think a Tiger Force Blizzard would then obviously insinuate the existence of a future regular deco Blizzard, and I think that would be amazing. It's not too small, PBJ. It's not at all. I don't know what vehicle you're looking at, mate, at all. It's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. Yeah, they won't put regular figures behind a paywall, Ryan. Absolutely. I think one of the things that people are talking about in terms of when you're talking about the size of this, after having the Rattler, which obviously takes up a lot of space with those wings and the kind of length of it and everything, I think you just kind of people just tend to keep going, well, it's got to be bigger and it's got to be bigger and it's got to be bigger until we're at like a Terradrome. And we're just not going to that's just not going to happen, is it? So I think some of these things have to kind of make sense. And I think if they're going to do some sort of crazy stuff with a snowcat, I can see this being mental. But then again, we'll see, won't we? We'll see how it goes at the end of Yojoe June. We'll find out what we're dealing with. I certainly think they could do a basic version of this if it is a snowcat for a Haslab. Take out all of the the extras and do something at sort of like a Pulse exclusive or semi-retail sort of level for a Tiger Cat. That would be great, wouldn't it? Oh, I'd be so down for that, especially with just like Tiger Force Frostbite. That'd be so good. An Arctic kind of green shirt, as people have said, is a good shout as well, actually. But like an Arctic white shirt, as it's said here by Cal. Yeah. Anyway, patches. Yeah, Rogue, KT21. There better be some patches here, right? Hilarious. Thank you, Yojoe Reviews. Appreciate that comment. That's very nice. A Cobra Wolf would be amazing, but obviously, that would be that would have to be for. Well, actually, that could be done retail wise, couldn't it? Because that's a smaller vehicle. It's pretty dope though. The Wolf, one of my favorite vehicles. I used to love that as a kid with the little kind of the missile rack that kind of popped up and they could slot in the two canopies effectively. The Ice Viper's really cool. For the longest time, I thought the Ice Viper was a female figure, just for the shape of the body a little bit. Obviously, it's not, but I did for a little while think it was a female figure. And yeah, it could be a cheaper price point as well. That's another good point. Although I say cheaper price point, probably around the same as a Hiss tank, right? Anyway, that's pretty much everything, I think. Last thing I need to talk about to you guys about is the listings and the updates here. So we can reveal that Trent Pet is the Desert Scorpion with Scorpion, and the RR Angelica is the Legacy Police Officer, finally. So those have been unlocked thanks to the render and name only reveals for those two. We don't have a clue where the Steel Core Sentry and Defense Posts lies, though. I don't think it's on. I'm pretty sure it's none of the red on this page, so it will probably be more likely on this group of listings here. But again, it's not going to be on the left-hand side because that's retail waves of 4, and we know the majority of what is on the right-hand side. And I don't think, I think this is one we don't have a listing for yet, is all I'll say on that one. So the Steel Core Sentry with Defense Post, no listing exists that we're aware of yet. It will exist, we just don't have access to it. So fingers crossed, we see that come through at some point and add it to the listings. But it's very likely going to be a 2026 situation. I say very likely. It could sneak in at the end of 2025, and it could be a listing we just don't have here, which is fine. Won't even acknowledge Arctic Ice Cream Soldier. Sorry, Jarhead. That genius. That's really funny. I love it. I'm not looking at all the comments all the time. My apologies. I catch what I can. I try and get in there. I apologize if I miss anything, especially if you find it very funny and I miss it, and I apologize. It's all a swerve. It's a Mauler with winter deco. Actually, Viper Scout, that'd be dope. But yes, it could be. That's a possibility, They could do something really mental like that, and we'd just all be like, why? You kind of expect them to do like your standard thing for the Haslab and then redecos later. But you never know, do you? You never know. Any international Arctic figures? October Guard. That's a good shout, Flaffle. That's a good shout. Might be the only opportunity to get October Guard figures. You know what? That's not a bad shout. Iceberg in whale form, says Leon. has won the internet. Ice Saber could be Haslab. Could be James. Anyway, Haslab, full-size Robo-Sen ice cream soldier, Emily special. Hi, it's me. That would be hilarious. Yeah, so 2026, still the same. We know Taurus and Red Dog are there. Johnny, it's the JQ Johnny 2-pack, basically. And the name only reveals have updated look. So we've thrown in the Steel Core Sentry with Defense Post on the left-hand side there above Taurus and Red Dog, and Desert Scorpion with Scorpion on the right-hand side for Cobra. It's still looking a little desolate, but hopefully that will grow throughout Yojoe June as well. And also we've moved the Sarge and Mercer off this to the digital renders. We've also popped in the Legacy Police Officer as well. I didn't even think, but it was all Joe, the render reveals, wasn't it? So maybe we'll get like an all Cobra render reveals next week. Fingers crossed. And yeah, we'll hopefully fill this page up a little bit as well. Is that everything? Oh no, there's one more thing. Thank you very much, guys, for everybody who has followed our Facebook page and got us to 10K. That is mind-blowing to me. And it's kind of been one of those things that I have obviously noticed it recently being at like 9.9 and just thought that it takes so long for these things to happen. And then boom, today we get it tick over to 10K Facebook followers. I'm very, very blown away by that. Thank you so much for all the support. Thank you so much for being a Facebook follower on our Facebook page. If you are, if you're not, go ahead, jump on there. Let's get it to 11K. Let's get it to 50. Let's get it to 1 billion. I'm just kidding, but that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Yes, I'm also going to be on a Punk with Toys show. A friend I forget what it's called now. Sorry, Punk with Toys. But yes, I'm going to be chatting with him tomorrow on his show, and I'll be posting that link to that on our socials as well. So yeah, there's a lot of people have been kind of talk about, plug your Punk with Toys interview. I will do. I'll be talking to him tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, I believe. And yes, I'll make a post on our socials as well about that. But thank you guys so much for all of the crazy support. It's been amazing. We've had a 6K subs on YouTube, 10K now on Facebook. It's crazy. We want to keep it going. And of course, as a celebration for this, I will be doing a top 10 of things. Hell, I might even do a top 10 Haslabs I want. How about that? Should I just go straight into Haslabs, considering we're talking about all that stuff? Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, we'll do a top 10. I'll do it on Haslabs, my most wanted Haslabs, and I'll just go nuts. And I'll leave out the ones that I talked about with my most wanted vehicles, and I'll just focus on ridiculous Haslabs that I want to see happen. I promise the Recon sled won't be in there. Anyway, we'll see what we do as a top 10, but that will be the celebration. I'll do a video to say thank you very much. Right then, that is everything. I will bring it to a close now, shall I? Thank you for jumping on to chat about the Yojoe June fan stream, part 1 technically, because there's going to be another one next week. At least there's going to be something next week. There's going to be another thing the following week and another thing the following week. So we're going to be very busy this month, but wouldn't have it any other way. If I do, if there'll be news this week, I'm sure, for the rest of the week. There's probably going to be stuff coming out left, right, and center. I'll try and keep up with it. You know I will. There might be a lot of live streams. You probably will be the case. Won't be as long as this one though. Next week's might be, but I'll try and keep it brief. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for joining me tonight. Stay fresh cheese bags. Oh, one more thing. God, I keep forgetting these things, don't I? Before I go, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, Battle Action Force. That's it. Thank you very much, guys. Stay fresh cheese bags. And as always, after 3, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3. I can't count. Full force. Laters.
That's it for this instalment of the Full Force News Burst. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. See you next time, and as always, Full Force.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on all of our social platforms, links in the description, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback or questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.